Good evening, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Spencer Spraggins, and I am absolutely delighted to welcome you all to this poetry event on behalf of the Poetry Society of Virginia and Germanna Community College. We are so grateful to both of those entities for hosting this, and we are thrilled that you all have taken time out of your busy schedules to devote some hours to poetic endeavors.
At this point, we will welcome Lyman Grant. And an interesting tidbit about Lyman, he began writing poems when he was in the 9th or 10th grade in high school. So he illustrates my personal conviction that one is never too young and never too old to write poetry. And he also reassures me personally that he has had periods of time in which he could produce nothing, and then other years where he was quite prolific. And I think especially during this time of the pandemic, many of us are seeing an ebb and flow to our work. And so his statement I found very helpful as far as keeping my focus. He is a Texas native who taught at Austin Community College for over 40 years. And he retired in 2017, moved to Harrisonburg, Virginia, but still teaches courses for ACC online when he's not working in his vegetable garden. His publications include 6 volumes of poetry, 2 textbooks, and 4 edited works relating to Texas literature. His poems have appeared in Written in Arlington and 2 anthologies of the Bridgewater International Poetry Festival. Mr. Grant is married and the proud father of 3 sons. So if you would, please join me in welcoming Lyman Grant.
Thank y'all. Thank you very much. Hope you can hear me. And so I thought what I would do is just read some poems. This is kind of, I guess, my first reading in Virginia. So I'm gonna read some poems kind of from all periods of my life. I'm not gonna read you anything from when I was 15, but I'm gonna start off with a poem from my mid-20s that I wrote, and it kind of has become a poem that I don't know if it's my credo or something. It just has kind of stuck around, and sort of when I was young, I kind of accidentally hit upon something that has meant something for me in different ways the rest of my life. And it's called Heretico. It's, I guess I was showing off when I was, my 20s as a grad student, which is a Greek word for the heretic, or the word heretic comes from this Greek word, which essentially means the ability to choose, the ability to make a decision. And so it's kind of a prayer. Hereticos. Make me a weed, a wild and restless thing, too burning for the flaming sky to green myself in shade. Make me a weed with roots as thin as sparks, with leaves that dance in summer heat like campfires on a plain. Make me a weed, the strider of the squall, the strange tower above rooted grass, an iceberg overturned. Make me a weed, browned and dried by flame, charred and withered from fires within, and ash on earth's hot brow. And I guess now almost 70, I'm approaching that ash portion of my life. And then this is a poem from my 30s. I have a tendency to write poems that kind of start off sad and get sadder. And this is a poem where I fought that urge in it, kind of at that turn. Which way do I go with this? Do I stay resigned, or do I try to change it? So this is one where I tried to change it. It's called Found Things. I stumble from room to room, lost like a young wild boy whose pockets once were stuffed with marbles and frogs, foreign coins and knotted string, a pocket knife and a hollow silver locket, but now has discovered his clothing empty. He searches under his bed, behind bookcases, in the far back reaches of his black closet where he sometimes hides. Nothing. Where could it all have gone? Vanished as strangely and miraculously as it all had come to him. Found things, gifts, and thefts. This has happened too often. So this time he takes his papers and paints and throws them to the floor. He throws them to the floor before he shouts so that everyone in the distant corners of the house come running. This time he stops and imagines a pile of lost things someone else will find. Unasked for treasures. Coins from places unheard of, string from kites set free, an empty locket once held close to a heart in love. I wander the rooms of my house now, not searching, not angry, not even hopeful. I am merely ready for the miracle of found things. Thank you. That's probably a better credo of being ready for happy things and looking at loss as really gift, giving someone else something. So here is if that was a poem getting ready for a midlife crisis, this is the poem about a midlife crisis. It's called Searching the Parking Lot for a Poem. Though I've been silent many months, I might now write about a man and a woman in a parking lot. This parking lot is very large, acres, and there are but few cars huddled beneath the scattered trees like cattle in western Kansas. I would want to be clear, to make understood that the distances are vast, that the air contains a heat, something like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the air like that last still moment inside a balloon just before the balloon blows up. I could say something about the man, his marriage, about the woman, her marriage, but I might not. It would be better to mention that his car was a long way from her car and that he walked with her all the way to the far end of the lot where her car stood. And then when she left, he walked all the way back. I would not make the reader think this journey was difficult, like desert fathers searching thirstily for Christ. I would just want to point out that they were together a long time, and then the man was without her a long time. Merely that. Because this poem is not about the parking lot or all they're walking about. The poem occurs when they arrive at her car and they stand looking at each other. This is where huge distances are, the inches separating two bodies. Here, I find unbearable heat. Here is the silence so full of words, they float between parked cars, waiting to call her back with this poem. I have the next one marked, I can find it. And this one is still a poem from my 40s. I lived in Austin, Texas for many years, and we still had great communities of old hippie rednecks and new age folks and all of that, of which I was part. And so this poem will reflect that. It's called The Laying On of Hands. So this is the way it happens. Somewhere around 3 a.m. in the morning, in a bed not made for blood and screams, women hold the woman you love while you haul medical supplies, sterile implements, and oxygen tanks, just in case, from the midwife's warm Taurus in the driveway. All the while you're thinking, no, not now. In the morning, maybe. The afternoon, it's better. You had everything planned, people to pray, the ceremony to honor the 7 directions, someone to beckon the deer and the wolf. And you were even wise enough to think of the elders, but now you forget to light the candles. And far away, the elders are sleeping, cheap paperbacks spread wide like curtains over their exhausted hearts. And the prayer people across town dream of a man falling, tumbling through the howling clouds toward seeds heaving at the waning moon. And it is at this hour that you return to yourself and remember what you knew before you knew how to plan, before you began scheduling your epiphanies. It is at this hour that you remember that only empty hands can cup the light, that mercy visits only when the last appointment has ended. So when you are called, if you're going to catch this baby, you better do it now. There is no other way but to kneel, since kneeling is demanded, to bow before the only heaven our body will ever know, to pull life wet and frightened into your palms and place him on the altar of his mother's breast. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lyman.
You bet. I'll tell my wife you liked it. And then here is one from my 50s. I'm getting there. And it's titled Midlife Christmas. This season, he travels back roads, admires frost-covered field stubble, caroling lights on distant homes, and flicks off the chattering radio, that insincere inquisition of state affairs and high office. He's abandoned freeways, the vans, sports cars, 18-wheeled commerce. Yet his pickup is full of gifts. Beside him sleeps his year-old son. Beside him, his mother, head resting on the wings of the car seat. Soon, they'll arrive home in the woods. Tomorrow, his son from the first marriage returns. He'd not have dared 2 years ago to have wished for something as simple and true. Sometimes nights seem never to end, but one life has been made from 2. God gives us as long as we need. Thank you. Thank you very much. I will close with this poem from my 60s. I guess I can hold it up. This is kind of my only book that's still available on Amazon. Everything else is out of print because those little, very small printings that we have. There's a gun in this. You can't see it on here. There's a gun in this. And when the publisher showed me the cover, I was aghast because I'm not a gun owner or hunter or anything. And so the book was getting ready. And so I wrote one more poem and said, you got to stick this one in there. And it's the book is called Old Men on Tuesday Mornings. And it's kind of just based on those old guys who sit around in Denny's and, Waffle House and talk on various mornings. And in this one, these fictional characters are at a place called La Madeleine. It's a name mentioned in the poem, so I thought I should mention it. And it was kind of a French bistro place where you could get good coffee and pastries and salads and other sundry things. So I'm from Texas, and so this one's called Open Carry. We are an open carry state, and so this one's titled Open Carry. You don't want to stare, but your eyes keep slicing his way. Then your raised chin aims your buddy's attention to the guy at the counter and the weapon holstered to his lumbar, against his lumbar. You weren't afraid, but now your body begins somehow to nudge you from the inside. Never have you feared of terrorists or desperate seekers of oxy or meth in the second Tuesday's La Madeleine until this cowboy entered. Stirring your black bitter with a couple of regular Joes, now the hackles spike as if you were a pack of dogs lazing about the yard, licking and scratching and shooting merely the breeze, when suddenly a wolf saunters in, all strut and insult to your canine sloth. Your ironic smile about an article in the Times or something Brzezinski and Scarborough implied this morning about Trump begins to arc into a snarl, and an unpracticed growl mumbles deep inside your chest. Another white guy with a gun. The cartridges of memory spin until you see yourself through the sights of an old Western. Meek farmer come to town to swap stories and trade sundries the wife has been wishing for. The vigilantes are thirsty for revenge, regardless if any is called for. So you apologize to your friends. Say today you need to get home early. Still you decide to carry proudly, openly, for the dark stranger to see your box of rich surprises with its pink bow, your butter croissant, and your soccer torte parfait. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your listening. It was daunting to have to come after Louisa, but I survived it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Be well.
Thank you so very much, Lyman. We greatly appreciate it.